How you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy with Crannk.com, and today I'm having a chat with Brad Andrews, vocalist, lead guitarist for Fool the Wolves. They're a Brisbane-based hard rock band. I caught the Devil You Know clip a little while ago. I shared that as well with Crannk. I've had a listen to the Parable one that's due out 25th of September. Very, very cool, man. I'm liking the direction you guys are going in. So thank you very much for making some time to have a chat with me.
No worries, man. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad you like the tune. We're pretty pumped about it as well. So yeah, it's exciting to get it out, man, and have a chat with people like yourself who are interested. And yeah, it's cool, man. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's an unreal sound. I'm loving the amount of rock that's coming out of Australia. Like, we have some unreal heavy metal, hands down, but I'm loving bands like yourselves and We Set Signals that have some amazing rock bangers, dude. Just shit you can put on. Sorry, mind the language, stuff you can put on and really just the hooks grab you, the sound and everything. And what you're doing with the Devil You Know and Parable, it's creating a fair bit of hype, man. I'm looking forward to kind of where this is going.
Yeah, thanks, man. And it's I'm the same, dude. I think it's like you know, it's really a bit of an evolution, you know, like you say, from the Devil You Know to Parable. Like, that's a bit of a step up and a bit of a different direction. And you know, I think we want to be one of those bands that definitely changes and evolves as we go, you know what I mean? So it's you know, a lot of rock music becomes quite formulaic, and it's like that for a reason, because that's what people respond to, you know. But I think after however many years and however many bands it's been, it's like you kind of got to find a way to do it a little bit differently, you know. So it's been exciting for us, and yeah, I mean, it's a new step in a new direction, and we'll just keep going, man. So shit's probably going to get pretty weird over the course of time, but fuck it, man. We'll just roll with it and see where it goes, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love bands like yourself that always push the bar a little bit, you know, compared to your Fool the Wolves self-titled EP, and then you've gone into your Karma EP. There's been slight little changes and growth and evolution in the sound I've picked up, and especially with the Devil You Know and the Next Step Parable band, the 25th. Really, really cool. I love bands that can push and drive like that, man. But can I ask?
Yeah,
you go.
Yeah, it's. I think like it's. A part of it is like conscious, because you're trying to create something new and build it, and then another part of it is just by default. I think you start out as a band and you just do what you can at the time, and then you kind of did that, and then you learn and you evolve. So it's just, I think after years of playing and writing, you just get better at it, and you find different ways of doing stuff. You know, if you're the kind of person who gets bored with the same shit like we are. You're always looking for something new, you know, so part of it happens consciously, and then the other part just happens when you do it long enough. You're going to find new things to make. So yeah, over time it kind of happens by itself anyway, but it's definitely a conscious effort too.
Yep. Can I talk about your evolution and growth as a musician, man, and discuss when you first started? I'm guessing, were you a guitarist first and then picked up vocals after? Yep. Can you tell me a little bit about your story?
Yeah, like everyone, dude. I think it's the same story for every fucking front man, you know? It's like, you start as a guitar player, and then you're looking for that vocalist, and then you realize there's not many out there. And to make the music you want to make, you've just got to step up and do it. So you kind of I had to grow up here and decide I was going to front a band and put one together, and here we are. So yeah, it was a bit of a personal transformation, and you kind of get over the nerves, and you know, singing's hard too. Like, it takes a lot of practice, writing lyrics, all that shit. So I mean, as much as I'd like to just be the dude hanging out in the back playing the guitar, it's like, you know, it is what it is. You kind of have to step up and do it, but you know, it's cool as well. You know, it's a lot. It's another outlet for creativity and another challenge. So I end up enjoying it, man. It's cool.
Yeah, well, I think it was Stephen I was chatting to from These Four Walls. I know I've chatted to a few vocalists, but he was saying that he wasn't originally a vocalist as well, and he said we were chatting how a lot of vocalists aren't originally vocalist, and that's what makes them better, because they're usually a guitarist or a drummer. I've chatted to a drummer who's ended up being a vocalist, bass player, and they've come in with that music smarts as well, and come in to the vocal position and pick that up really well, whether they've wanted to or not. But it's come across having that musical sense. And he said to me, he said a lot of people who come in purely as a vocalist, it takes a lot more work for them to come into that position. Whereas if you come in with that music sense and moving into that vocalist position, it seems to be a lot better. There we go. I got to turn my.
Because it's like this, I would say there's like two components to it, you know. There's like the purely musical element, which is just melody, and it's like it's knowing, you know, how to sing in tune, and it's like it's finding the right melody for the song and what makes it interesting, like from a purely musical perspective. And then there's just that other thing that a vocalist has to have, which is kind of in here, man. It's like the confidence, it's like the delivery, it's the embodiment of what you're singing. You know what I mean? So some people out there just can do that in droves, you know what I mean? And maybe they're not a musician to start with, but they can embody that vocalist, that lead singer role really, really well. That's probably something that a lot of musicians have to learn to get to, you know what I mean? Because you're busy just playing your guitar, but you've got to remember there's fucking a crowd there watching you as well. So it kind of becomes a bit of trying to do both at the same time, a bit of a balancing act, but that's the journey, man. And that's what you got to do. So it's cool.
Yeah. And for songwriting as well, being a guitarist, you would have reached a point, you know, that there's only so much you can do with a guitar. So sitting around noodling with a guitar, you would have been writing songs as well, you know, working towards that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And it gives you another, like as a guitarist, I mean, I know for me, I can sit there and play riffs all day. I mean, I can just record them and bank them up, and I can just keep going and keep going and keep going. And at some point you got to stop and you got to look at what you have, and then you got to figure out how you're going to make a song. So there's that component. And then with the vocals as well, it just gives you another element to play with. You know, it's another instrument. So it forces you to find new ways to make music and using other instruments as well. And the vocals is an instrument too. So it's, it definitely lends itself to that. But then also you've got the challenge of writing lyrics and trying to get the melody to work and slamming your head against the wall to try and figure it out. So it's the hardest part to me. It's to this day, it's the most infuriating. But, you know, once you go through that journey on the other side, it's good. So.
Yeah, and that's where it's good, where you have a creative bunch of guys like yourself that can come together, you know, and, you know, you're not the only one creating ideas. You can go, look, I've got this riff, and what do you think, guys? What can we do with this, you know? Whereas I've talked to some bands and they've been like one guy creating, and it's a lot harder, but it's better when you've got a whole band together and you're all bouncing off each other with ideas and creating, like, these compositions.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think you can kind of go into a room together as a band and you can have nothing on the table, and sometimes it can be a fucking mess because you're just chasing your tail and there's not really any direction, you know? And then you show up the next night and you go, what do we play? Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. Like, and it's not recorded and it's a mess, you know? So there's that side of it, but then, you know, if you have a little bit of direction, if you kind of collectively know, hey, let's work on something like this, or let's move towards a goal like this, or maybe someone does have a bit of an outline of a song, then within those confines, you can play around and like you say, man, that aspect is where you really find the gems. You know, it's what's something that I might have that I might give to my drummer and the drummer Tony, and he might chuck it back to me with a completely different spin on it. Something I might not really like, he might pick up on, and then he'll say, let's chase that down. So yeah, the collaborative aspect definitely does help, man. And it's part of the magic that kind of, you know, of being in a band, really.
Yep. Can I ask about the formation of For the Wolves? How did that initially begin? And, you know, when did you start putting together the band and really getting serious about this?
Sure. I moved to Brisbane in, I think, 2015. And, I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was like 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? So I've always been just noodling around. And then I sort of got to a point where I decided I want to put a band together, and I started looking for other musicians and just couldn't, you know, every musician goes through that challenge of trying to find like-minded people, and you want to really capture that chemistry in a room. It's hard to find. And so eventually me and Tony, my drummer, we hooked up online. We actually started sending demos back and forth. He was living in Melbourne, and instantly, like straight away, like, okay, my riffs and his drums just hooked together. So that really laid the foundation for it. And then we both moved to Brisbane, and then I had a couple of friends up here who were musicians as well. We sort of recruited them in the band, and that's sort of how we started off, man. So that real connection between me and Tony was really what laid the foundation, and then we've kind of built it around that, and now we've got a really cool sound, and we've got, we've got a really good outfit. It's, you know, we're all really good mates, and we're all really passionate about it, and we have a fucking blast. So that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, so For the Wolves was the first release for you guys. It was the self-titled EP. I think that was 2017. What was that? What was all that process like, making that first self-titled EP and getting in there and doing that one?
It's funny now. I mean, like, you know, with the Devil You Know and Parable, the one that's coming out, it's like there's just such huge steps up in production. When I look back on those EPs, it's like it's weird, man, because there was such a rush to put it together, and we just wanted to get something out. So there's a lot of things we did wrong, and it's a really kind of amateurish effort. But at the same time, man, I mean, I get people hitting me up about those songs all the time to me, you know, but it was really self-produced. It was just us trying to figure out how to get music recorded. I mean, in the modern day of music, though, that was an effort for us. It worked pretty well for like a bit of, you know, we had a handful of songs. We picked the I think 3 or 4 of the best. We recorded them and put them out. That was pretty much all she did rolling.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, man. A bit of a lag there in the net. Thank you, NBN, and thank you, Telstra, and the Australian internet. There we go.
The world of Zoom.
Yeah, welcome to
the world of Zoom and the COVID era, dude. It's full of delays.
With Australian internet, it doesn't make it any good. Some of the bands I've chatted to from overseas has been quite fun. So we're talking about the latest releases. I want to get into them because you've got Luke Palmer as well, who's produced from Dead Letter Circus, and Forrester Savell, who's done Butterfly Effect, Karnivool, Dead Letter Circus as well. He's mixed it. So can you tell me a little bit about them guys getting on board and what it's like working with them dudes?
Yeah, I mean, so when we went to record the new songs, you know, as I mentioned before, the first couple were self-produced. So I thought this time around, as a band, we wanted to find a producer who could really kind of take it to the next level. And also someone that you can, you know, when you're self-producing, you kind of got multiple hats on. You've got musician hat on, you've got the producer hat on, you've got the audio engineer hat on. And it's quite an overwhelming experience. I mean, a lot of bands do it, but we really like the idea of just being able to sit back and play the instruments, just be the musicians, you know, show up to the studio, someone's behind the computer and they're recording, they're producing, and then we just do our job and we go home. And that's what we did. And we were stoked, man. I mean, Luke met with a couple of producers, and then when we met Luke, he was just on board, and he was a great dude, and he's just a really talented guy, and he really sort of locked in with our vision. And yeah, I mean, we were amazed at what we accomplished, man, and with his guidance. So that was really, really cool. And then obviously after that, it goes off to Forrester for mixing. And like you mentioned, some of the bands he's mixed, I mean, he's worked on Karnivool stuff, you know what I mean? So some of the biggest bands in hard rock in Australia he's been a part of, and there's a reason for that. I mean, the dude's fucking genius. So, you know, I mean, it's so cool to kind of just do your thing as a musician and then not really have to do much else. I mean, even when the mixes come back, I mean, I don't really, you know, like he's like, do you have any notes? And you listen to it and I'm like, not really. I don't have any notes. It's out of the box. It's fucking great. So we'll just roll with it, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's awesome. Those dudes are talented guys and they really locked in with what we were doing, and the process and the outcome's been amazing.
Yeah, there's some unreal producers like them, as you're saying, in Australia. It's amazing the amount of talent. Not only the bands like yourselves, but the producers, the people mixing, the studios we have here in Australia, top quality, can hold it down with any in the world for sure. And it's exciting seeing the scene go the way it is.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not really the mainstream scene here, you know what I mean? Like in Australia, it's really indie pop driven. It's a lot of independent kind of bands, but the hard rock and metal scene is fucking huge. Yeah. It's massive, but it's somewhat underground, and it kind of happens almost overseas. Yeah. You know, a lot of bands here, they headed overseas first, you know, with popularity, and then they'll come back to Australia when they got a bit of swing behind them. But you know, it's huge, man. And, you know, you going out in Brisbane Brisbane seems to be the spot as well. I mean, you know, hard rock and metal bands, people love it. They want to come out and see it. And there's some talented people here, dude. And, you know, some of the biggest names in hard rock in the world, metalcore, are coming from Australia. So, yeah, man, it's definitely got some drive behind it. It's probably not so much in the mainstream and out there in the forefront for everyone to see, but it's definitely happening under the surface.
Yeah, that's why I'm pushing as hard as I can too, because I see the amount of talent we have here in Australia. And you hit the nail right on the head. I've talked to so many bands like yourself that have done better overseas before they've done it right in Australia. I'd done an interview with a rock singer, man, and she's doing really well in South Africa, US, all over the place, hitting goals, but she hadn't done any media at all in Australia. And I've talked to a few bands like that, and they're like, "Oh, you're the first Aussie interviewer," and I'm like, "Really?"
Well, it's funny. I mean, nowadays with like Spotify and Facebook and all these outlets to get your music all over the world, I mean, it's pretty easy to get it to the other side of the globe like that. And that's what we've seen, man. I mean, we got the Devil You Know we released probably a couple of months ago. And I mean, that's just, we've got people from Brazil, Europe, America hitting us up. I mean, I've got people asking for interviews, like places like Chicago and LA. And it's weird, man, but it's awesome. It's so cool. But it's strange like that. There just seems to be these pockets in the world where this kind of music is really vibing, but it's pretty awesome that you can take your music, you can record it in a studio on the Gold Coast, and then you can get it to someone who's listening to it the next day in Chicago. Like, it's nuts. It's cool, man. And these tools to connect with people really help.
Yeah, on the other side of the world. And that's the thing. There's always this big push in Australia to go, oh, yeah, Australian-made products, or, industry or whatever. But it doesn't seem to be the same drive to push the Australian music and arts industry. And, especially, look, I've talked about this heaps for this COVID time, but in this time of the COVID pandemic, you can see how much the arts and music sector is appreciated by the governments around the world. It's really, truly sad, especially our Australian government, who's done little to nothing to the arts sector, and especially the musicians. And when they announced money, most of it went to film and TV, and only a small portion went to the music industry. That was done my head in.
Yeah, it is, man. And I don't think anyone who's not really like a creative person or a musician or a consumer of artistic creative things, I mean, most people are, but you know what I mean, the people who are really into it. If you're not into it like that, you probably wouldn't think about it too much. But like, if you just think about it, try and envision a world where there isn't music and there isn't art and there isn't the creativity. I mean, you would miss it when it's gone. I mean, I'm looking at your backdrop right now. I mean, the amount of creativity and artwork that's gone into just that alone, it's like, what an austere kind of bland world we would have without it. So it's one of those things that it's, it will be, you don't really think about it too much, but it would be severely missed if it was gone.
Yeah, well, music's given me so much in my life, and I'm sure it has for you as well, Brad. It's like
100%.
I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for music. Hands down, straight up, it's got me through some terrible times. And tracks like yours, The Devil You Know, I want to chat about that one, man. Can you tell me a little bit about what that track means for you as well?
Yeah, that was a good one, man. That one's, a lot of the earlier stuff, they're a bit longer songs. They're a bit more, I wouldn't say progressive in nature. They're a bit more unfolding, winding kind of songs. We're big fans, bands like Tool and Mastodon, Pink Floyd. So we really, sometimes we can take our time to get to the point. But that's what we do. It's cool. With The Devil You Know, I mean, that's like a 3.5-minute banger. So that was, I think, literally the shortest song we've ever written and recorded. And we sent a few to Luke when we were going to record, and he was like, yeah, this one. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, this one. Let's do this one. I was like, okay, let's do it. So I'm glad we did, man, because it's just a tight little package. It's 3.5-minute song. And it's just from start to finish, it just goes, man. So it's, and interesting with that one as well, it's got a bit of a different swing to it, a bit of a different skip. A bit of a different cadence. And when I played that riff, it's a simple riff, guitar riff. And when Tony started playing drums on it, it was kind of like, it had a bit of a different swing. And for such a simple song, we were just struggling to get it. And I thought to myself, we need to follow this through because it's different to us and it's challenging. But if we work through it and we get it, then we're going to have something kind of unique for us on the other side. And that's what we did. So, it's got a bit of a different rhythm to it, and we love it, man. It's great. And the recording of it was just unreal. It obviously sounds fucking huge, so no complaints, man. It was good.
Yeah, definitely. Sound great, like sound, the production, like you saying, and it does have a kind of a different sound, but it shows the evolution, the kind of direction where you guys are going as well. It's really, really cool, and the cool film clip with it as well.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, and you got Parable coming up on the 25th of September, I believe. That's going to be a big day. There's some good releases that one, so I'm going to be fairly busy cranking lots of rock, man.
Cool, man. It's good. It's just a good thing about a Fridays now, New Music Fridays. You know what I mean? I hit my Spotify up, and that's where all the bands are dropping. So it gives you some new tunes for the weekend.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that track there and kind of what that one means for you and a little bit of working on that?
Sure, man. So that one's a little bit longer. We mentioned the Devil You Know is a bit shorter. This one's a bit longer. You know, it's 4.5 minute track. It takes its time a little bit more. It's a bit more ambient, psychedelic, progressive in nature. It kind of starts out a bit, you know, like, I mean, the first riff out of the gate will smack you in the face, but the verse kind of dials it back and it's a bit more psychedelic and ambient and trippy. And you know, it's a song that's really got a lot of things going on, and it really just evolves as it goes. And I'm really proud of that song, man. I think that one is probably the epitome of what we've really tried to achieve as a band, which is integrating a few different elements and sounds and ideas and grooves. And I just think that one's come out great. I mean, I've been jamming that one privately on my own quite a bit, man. I love it. So it's a good one, dude. And it took a long time to figure out and write, but yeah, I'm stoked with it now. It's got a lot of different pieces, a lot of different sounds, a lot of different textures. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool track, and I'm pumped to put it out, man.
Yeah, I can't wait till it's out in the waves and it starts getting through some ears, man. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm going to be sharing the hell out of this track as well.
Thanks, dude, man. I appreciate it.
So can you, I dare say you guys are fairly busy. Is this a matter of watch your space? Have we got some more stuff coming for you through the year?
100%, man. Yeah, I mean, I think we were kind of at the stage where, you know, we were out there gigging. And it gets to a point where you've played your songs, people have heard them, and they're going, what now? You know what I mean? So for us, it was really like, okay, let's get into the studio. Let's write some music. And, you know, obviously when COVID hit, I mean, I don't want to say it was perfect timing, but it was fucking, I mean, it's not perfect timing for anyone, but I mean, we just kind of like, okay, cool. We just took it on the chin. Let's get to work. And then we just we haven't really focused on gigging at the moment. We've just been recording music, putting content out, videos, shit like that, you know, stuff that really kind of, it forced our hand to focus on. So yeah, I mean, we got the Devil You Know out, Parable's coming out. We'll have another one probably a couple of months after. So from now to the end of the year, man, we're just gonna be pumping music out. And that's really kind of how we want to build our fan base for now. And then, you know, when all this shit dies down and there's a bit of normalcy left, a bit of normalcy back in society, we'll get back out there and start playing. But for now, man, we're building our fan base kind of here and all over the world just by putting music out. And I think that it really is the way to do it now, man. I just think that consistency is key. And you just keep going. It's all it is. So it's a passion project for us, and we'll just keep doing it, man. And while people keep responding, it's a good time for us. And yeah, so to answer your question, we are busy, and we'll just keep going, dude. We'll just keep recording music, putting it out, and playing shows when they come up, and having a good time doing it.
Yeah, and that's it. In the meantime, you know, you have turned this into a positive. I've chatted to a few bands that are going, okay, look, our hands are tied. Everyone's got to stay safe. We've got to do the right thing. Let's just create and, you know, remain positive in this time. And that's also another point you're bringing up to support. People got to realize just because you can't hit the road and play shows, and I mentioned this in quite a few interviews, and I'm going to do it again because I'm bad for it, but when you play, musicians play shows, so you're supporting a whole industry behind you, the sound tech, the engineers, everyone else, you know, besides the band and yourselves. You get up on stage, you've got that, then you're filling out venues, so you got bar staff which you're helping to fill out a bar, you know, and the people that come out to a show, most times, you know, a lot of times with a local show, they have only heard of one or two bands off it. So say you come to a show, you see For the Wolves, you're like, man, that's so awesome. You go over to a merch stand, you're going to see yourself or one of the other band members or a couple of you guys standing there at the merch stand. You'll have the fans come up, say good day to you, and they're usually buying a CD, a shirt, a sticker, or a patch, and that's things you don't have at this time. So get people, you know, not only listening to Spotify, but heading along to support you guys, like buying these singles and things like that, or if you have any merch as well. Buying merch and supporting bands like yourself in this scene is especially more important than anything. And just because we can't go to gigs doesn't mean we cannot support the scene and bands like For the Wolves and keep this scene strong.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think like nowadays, you know, like I mean, obviously streaming took away the massive income, a massive amount of income from recorded music. So that's kind of been wiped out. I mean, I know I've read interviews with massive bands who really think of streaming like every other band as basically free content. So, I mean, that's, you know, these are bands who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on albums, and like with the idea that they're not going to get any money back on streaming. And then they go out, they hit the road, and they recoup that playing shows and selling merch. So that's really the main income streams for bands nowadays. And, you know, for us, it's that's what we're really turned our focus to as well. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're a band who can go out and sell at a venue, which we aren't there yet. We'll get there one day. But we're not there yet. So it's like, you know, these little bits and pieces that you can do to help a band really, really influence their trajectory. But for us, I think merch is a big one. You know, merch is like, we've sort of taken to the tack that we can sell merch online, and we are now. And like I said before, hooking up with these people all over the world. I mean, we're shipping merch out to America now. So it's a slow groundswell, and it's coming up, and it's a hard slog. But yeah, I mean, now we're starting to, if you make cool shit, you know, what the saying goes, man, if you build it, they will come. So it's like, if you make cool shit, then people are going to buy it. So it's, make good music, make good merch, just keep creating, and just keep rolling, man. That's what you can fucking do, because it's, it's a challenge, but it's, you do it for the love of it, you know? So if you can make a little bit of money here and there, and really fund the efforts to go back and make more music, and if people understand, I think that if they contribute a little bit, they get more back as well. It's definitely an ecosystem that kind of relies on both parties to make it work, you know?
Yeah, where's the best place I'll put in all the links for this as well on the article, but where's the best place that people should get along and support you with merch as well?
Just the website, man. So, forthewolves.com. That's sort of the hub for everything. All your social media channels, or your YouTube, or your Spotify comes from there. When shows are on, that's where we post all our shows. New music, merch, all that kind of stuff, man. So forthewolves.com, that's really the main hub for it all. And whatever platform or social media channel you use, you can find it from there.
Yeah, awesome. Brad, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. I'm going to sign out, let you get about your day. But before I do, I always do last words, shout outs and thank yous, or anything I may have missed you want to add in there.
Sure, man. I mean, just to everyone out there who's paying attention, man, and buying a t-shirt and streaming our songs and commenting and sharing and doing all that cool stuff that helps us, man. And when we can start playing gigs, we'll get out there, and we can't wait to see you all again. So, yeah, man, big thanks to everyone. Thanks to yourself as well, dude. And, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Awesome, Brad. Absolute pleasure. Everyone get along, check out For the Wolves. Devil You Know come out in June. Check that single out. Really, really great track. Parable comes out 25th of September. Amazing track. You guys are going to love the hell out of this one. You're going to want to turn it up really loud so the neighbours can hear it too, because they're going to love it.
Fuck yeah, man.
And then go out.
Your eardrums, dude.
That's it. Cheers, Brad. We'll talk soon, man.
Yeah.
This has been a pleasure. We'll
Cheers,
do it
brother.
later in the year, bro.
Take it easy, man. Have a good
Cheers,
day.
mate. Thank you.